How bike-friendly is your city? That's the question posed to Switzerland's population every 4 years by Switzerland's largest cycling advocacy group, Pro Velo. And since 2005, every 4 years, one town is crowned with the Prix Velo Switzerland. And the current holder, now crowned almost 4 years ago, is Burgdorf. In fact, Burgdorf has dominated this prize like no other. In the first installment, in 2005, it only narrowly missed out to Winterthur, taking second place. But since then, it's been a 4-win run of absolute dominance, so thorough, Pro Velo felt the need to introduce special categories for the larger towns, so they could award something to some of the largest cities in the country too. That's impressive, but how did Burgdorf get here? What makes it great? And will it defend this title come spring 2026? So first, what exactly is the Prix Velo? It's not an award handed out by experts sitting in an office. Instead, Pro Velo surveys thousands of people across Switzerland. Everyday cyclists rate their towns on things like safety, accessibility, parking, and just how welcome you feel when they're on two wheels. In other words, it's not about who has the fanciest bike bridge or the most kilometers of lanes. It's about how the cycling experience feels to the people who actually ride it every day. So why does this little town in the Emmental keep coming out on top? Sure, Burgdorf does have some beautiful bike infrastructure, but here's the thing, most of it isn't new. Compared to fresh projects like this one in Platteln, Burgdorf's network is practically vintage. And yet, in 2021, infrastructure that, in some cases, was more than 30 years old was still rated by its residents as the best in the country. So how did that happen? In the 1980s, Burgdorf's leadership had a bold idea. They built what they called the Radwegring, a bike path ring around the city. Now, the quality of that ring varied, and it was arguably never a full ring, but it laid the infrastructural foundation for what came next. Switzerland chose Burgdorf as its pilot town for a project called Fuß- and Velomodellstadt, literally the pedestrian and bicycle model city, with the goal of testing new ideas to serve pedestrians and cyclists. And here's the key. It wasn't about building more lanes. Several non-infrastructural ideas were introduced to make cycling more attractive. The most successful of these projects was Switzerland's very first Begegnungszone, a shared space where motorized traffic was still allowed, but cars were mere guests. It was even visually distinct, laid with red cobblestone instead of asphalt. It really felt like something new, a prototype that gave cyclists and pedestrians a clear sense of priority. Burgdorf also became a pioneer in crossings, adding full segregation where possible and smart solutions like bike detection where it wasn't. And then there was parking, secure facilities like the Velostation at the train station, and plenty of well-placed racks across the town. Burgdorf didn't just build bike lanes, it built culture and a trust that cycling could be safe, practical, and respected. And that culture still pays off today, with the Stiftung intact and IG Velo, now Pro Velo Emmental, still playing a big role in keeping it alive. But can legacy alone keep you on top? Burgdorf's not perfect. There are still gaps in the network, and the town hasn't had major new projects in recent years. In some ways, it may even be a victim of its own success. Why engage in advocacy when you're already so far ahead of the rest? Initiatives that once defined Burgdorf's cycling culture, like the Velobörse or the unique prototype feel of that first Begegnungszone, have quietly disappeared. Meanwhile, other towns have been catching up, even if slowly. And in a competition that depends so much on perception and momentum, standing still can be a risk. Without fresh investment and new ideas, it could very well lose its lead. To be fair, Burgdorf's network won't be standing still forever. New developments are already in the planning stages. At the center of it all is Emmentalerts, an expansion program aimed at improving traffic flow through Burgdorf and further into the Emmental. New underpasses and public transport prioritization are meant to keep things moving more smoothly. But not every major intersection is grade separated, and the accident statistics already highlight where risk points may end up being. Burgdorf's success has always been built on giving bikes their own space. The accompanying projects under Emmentalerts do promise to continue that approach. But is that enough if motorized traffic keeps increasing? The real challenge isn't just building new infrastructure, it's finding the balance. Burgdorf has to improve traffic flow without compromising the quality and safety of its cycling network. If it succeeds, it may strengthen its roles as a national leader once more. If not, other towns that are now investing more boldly could soon catch up. Or perhaps already have. And here's where you come in. The survey for the next Prix Velo is currently open. If you live in Switzerland, you can take part, though you will have to speak one of Switzerland's national languages. You can take part and judge your own town. Your feedback helps not just shape the rankings, but also helps municipalities prioritize cycling improvements. Think your town deserves the spotlight? Or just want to throw shade at your local traffic planners? Now's your chance. Go participate in the survey. I'll put a QR code on screen and you can also find a link in the description. Burgdorf proves that being early and consistent can make a town a leader. But time never stands still. And after 16 years on top, maybe it's finally time for Burgdorf's reign to end. We'll find out in spring 2026 whether I can drop the question mark from this video's title for another 4 years, or whether I need to show you Switzerland's next cycling champion come spring.